If you have an implanted medical device, or you're caring for a patient who has an implanted medical device and you're wondering, is it safe to go inside a hyperbaric chamber with an implanted medical device? That's what we're going to cover in today's video. So there are a number of different implanted medical devices. Everything from joint replacements to cosmetic surgeries to implanted pacemakers and defibrillators, also including catheters and colostomy bags, or even medication delivery systems. What are allowed inside the chamber, what aren't allowed inside the chamber, what's safe, what isn't safe, and are any of those unsafe to go into the chamber? Okay, so let's just take these one at a time. Let's start with joint replacements. The pressure from a hyperbaric chamber does not affect solid materials, or liquid materials for that matter. If the device we're talking about is a solid or a liquid or a gel, and there's no air associated with that implanted device, it's going to be safe for hyperbaric oxygen. According to Pascal's law, pressure that is applied to a solid or a liquid in every direction simultaneously undergoes no deformation. In other words, if you've already been in a chamber, you know that you don't feel the pressure of hyperbaric on your shoulders, on your ankles, on your head. The only place you feel hyperbaric oxygen is really either in your sinus cavity or in your ears, because those are air spaces. And those air spaces need to be equalized throughout the process of a treatment, but ultimately you're not feeling it on your body. So something like a joint replacement, which is a solid material, once that device is implanted, you can go into a hyperbaric chamber, even during the healing process. In fact, you probably should go into a hyperbaric chamber during the healing process because it will help facilitate your healing. But that device itself is not going to respond or react to hyperbaric oxygen at all. The next category would be cosmetic surgery in terms of procedures like injections or implants. Injections or implants should really not have any air associated with them. These should be liquids or gels, and they should be encased in a sheath that has no air inside of them. As a result, it's more of a liquid, gel, or solid exposure, where as long as there's no air associated with it, those pressure changes are going to have no effect on those devices. Next, let's talk about battery-operated devices like pacemakers, defibrillators, or even medication administering devices. My first recommendation would be anything on the exterior that could be taken off should be taken off. If somebody has a battery-operated insulin pump and that battery-operated device can be removed, I would remove it before the session. In most cases, those devices are not necessarily tested for pressure, and so the pressure could actually affect that device. If for some reason we can't remove it or we don't want to remove it, then we need to check with the manufacturer of that device and find out if it's rated for pressure, and if so, at what pressure is it rated, and then make sure that we keep our treatment of hyperbaric oxygen below that pressure threshold. That's also true of implanted pacemakers. We certainly can't remove those. And so for every one of those cases, the make, model, serial number, part number needs to be verified with the manufacturer. Is this device rated for pressure? And if so, at what pressure is it rated? In today's world, almost every one of those devices is pressure rated, but please always check, please always verify. It's the right thing to do. If you run a clinic, you need to ask every patient coming in, do you have any implanted medical device? If so, what is the make, model, serial number, and part number of said device? We also ask the patient to confirm with the manufacturer if it's pressure tested and for what pressure. We will also verify, but for us, that's the patient's role and responsibility as part of their care in our office. The last category is going to be external devices like catheter bags or colostomy bags. In these cases, and for a number of different reasons, we are using external devices to catch and discard a patient's waste products. Patients with these devices can go into a hyperbaric chamber. However, in every one of these cases, those devices need to be completely emptied before going in. In all of these cases, there will be some mixture of air and liquid. And as a result, the air inside those bags will be impacted by hyperbaric. They will compress as the chamber is compressing, and they will expand as the chamber is decompressing. And we certainly don't want to impact that patient's waste products by compressing them and pushing them back in. And we certainly don't want them expanding and then exploding on the way out. So can a patient with these go in? Yes, but just please, every single time, make sure they are empty. We've had many, many patients with these devices go in our chambers. We've never had an issue. We always start empty, as I'm describing. And you'd be surprised, in many cases, you start empty and an hour or 90 minutes later, those are filled again. And so it's really important to buy yourself as much time as possible. Make sure they're empty before the patient goes in. Are there any devices that are just an absolute no? I can't say that other than, let's say, an implanted battery-operated device that cannot be taken out and is not rated for pressure. That would be an absolute no. Other than that, any one of these would be considered safe as long as you're taking the right steps to make sure that the patient is protected. Thanks for your attention. If you know somebody that has an implanted medical device of any type and they're thinking about hyperbaric, share this video, let them know exactly what steps they need to take, make sure that they're going to be safe and have a great experience. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. So whether you're a chiropractor or a naturopath or an acupuncturist or a DO or even an MD, but you're looking at hyperbarics through this lens, the lens that I'm describing, which is applying hyperbarics for all these off-label conditions, this is the class that teaches that. And right now it's the only class that teaches this type of hyperbarics in this way, and that's an actual certification course. Check out hbotusa.com, and right across the top you'll see upcoming events. You can click on that and it'll show you when our next courses are going to be.